How are you guys doing tonight?
Okay, what we're going to do, if we could, usually, as we always do, we field the questions from the audience, and then at the end, we ask the guests to stand up to take photos. So rather than taking photos all through the process, just because the flashes get hard to look at after a while, we'll do the photos at the very end if we could. And again, if you have a question, just raise your hand. If you're called on, just stand up. Please, just one question, because I'm sure everyone has one. When you're called on, just please stand up and project loudly so we can hear. Okay, right here.
Everybody hear him?
No. How was the fight scene in May Live going that?
We started out to make a fight scene that lasted about a reel long, which is 10 minutes. The only fight scene I could remember in a movie was in The Quiet Man, that sucked. So I wanted to do a good one. So we had a stunt coordinator, Jeff Amata, who's very, very famous in Hollywood. And Roddy is a wrestler, and he knows how to do it. And Keith knew nothing, but we worked for a month and a half on it, training it, planning it. And by the time we were shooting it, they were making contact with each other. We weren't pulling punches. And we shot it in about 3 days.
Right here.
When Halloween 3 was first made, I remember the plan was that I read every year there was supposed to be a different Halloween film with a different storyline. I was wondering, were there any other storylines developed you had planned to make in addition to that?
Everybody hear that? All right. Well, Halloween 3 came out and tanked. What the audience wanted was the guy in the mask. So everyone abandoned all the plans to make different movies at Halloween and went back to the guy in the mask.
Right here.
There's a lot of beautiful women in this audience. How come they don't ask questions? Well, I can't be bothered with anything during basketball season. I'm a basketball addict. I don't want to say anything too inflammatory tonight, but I'm not so sure about the Philadelphia 76ers.
Neither are we.
And I'm not so sure about the New Jersey Nets either. I gotta be real honest with you. I just hang out. I like to stay away from people, relax, kick back, that kind of thing.
Okay. Any questions over here?
There's
Right
a
here.
beautiful woman over here raising her hand. Finally. What made me want to become a filmmaker? When I was a kid, I grew up watching movies. I was a kid from northern New York, and my dad moved us to Bowling Green, Kentucky, in the middle of the Bible Belt in the Jim Crow South. And I had no idea what was going on. So there was one place that I could be happy for several hours at a time, and that was in the movies. And I grew up during the 1950s. And during that time, there were a lot of science fiction and horror movies. I fell in love with them. So that was what made me want to become a director. I wanted to do what I saw. First movie I realized, thank you, man. First time I realized there was somebody behind the camera was Roger Corman's name kept popping up on all these horror films. And it said director. I said, well, I wonder what that is. So I looked it up, and he's the guy who sort of decides what the film is going to be like, sensually, visually. So that's what I wanted to be.
Over here.
I think I can speak for just about everyone in this room when I say that we're incredibly excited for your return to the big screen with the award coming up. What can we expect to see from that?
The award came along after I had taken a very long absence from filmmaking, almost 9 years. I directed a couple of TV things from Masters of Horror, which were on, I think it was Showtime or something. I had a real good time shooting those. I had enjoyed myself, and I thought, if I can find something small to do, something contained, with some really good actors, I might try it again. And this came along, and it seemed perfect. I didn't have to work too many days in a row, and I found a really, really great cast. So it's a psychological horror film. It takes place in a loony bin, insane asylum, with a bunch of Hollywood actresses in there. That's about it.
Right here.
Yes, in this day and age of remakes, you talking about being a fan of the sci-fi and horror movies of the 50s, is there any one in particular that if you had the opportunity to remake, that you would like to remake?
I don't think so. Not really. Not really. But you know, they've always remade movies in Hollywood. Always, always. They remade The Maltese Falcon, and Star is Born was remade several times, so it's not something new.
Back here.
Just to add on to the question about what made you want to become a film writer, what would you say was your favorite movie as a child that really inspired you?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's really interesting. When I was really, really young, I saw this movie in 3D called It Came from Outer Space. Which was if you see it now, it's a little bit creaky, but I had no idea what was going on. This was in 1952, so I would have been around 4 or 5 years old. So I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing, and I had these glasses on. And the opening scene, this meteor comes across the desert, comes right at me, and blows up in my face. And I jumped up and started running for my life. I took off, and then I stopped and said, hey, this is fabulous. What's going on here? That really got me emotionally hooked, and I think that I saw Forbidden Planet, which was a space movie in the 50s, and I think that, I said, I gotta do something like that.